Hello everyone, welcome you to Gleam Academy, a fusion of tuition. I am Adrima Ray. Today going to discuss about resources and development in our earth. Let's first know what the resource exactly is. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs or which can be technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable is termed as resources. That means we the human beings maintain interdependent relationship between nature, technology, and institution to accelerate the economic development. From this, we can say resources are a function of human activities. Now we are going to know how many types of resources are there in our earth. Resources are generally of three types. Number 1, natural resources. Number 2, human-made resources, and number 3, human resources. Now talking about number 1, natural resources. The resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modifications are called natural resources. For example, the air we breathe, the water in our rivers and lakes, the soils, the minerals, etc. are all natural resources. Again, these natural resources can be broadly categorized into renewable resources, which we can renew or replenish quickly just after the usage. For example, solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, geothermal energy, biomass, etc. And the second one is non-renewable resources, which have a limited stock, and once their stocks are exhausted, it may take thousands of years to renewed or replenish, and sometimes once they exhaust forever. For example, coal, petroleum, natural gases, etc. Now comes to the second one, that is human-made resources. Human-made resources are formed when people use natural resources to make buildings, bridges, roads, machineries, and vehicles. We can also consider technology as a human-made resource, as it is human-driven in nature. And finally, the human resources. Human resources are quantities and mental and physical abilities of a person, which helps to create something new as a resource by using their knowledge, skills, and the technology. For example, human resource in the field of education, health, etc. And this improving of quality of people's skills so that they are able to create more resources is known as human resource development. And now, when we talk about the various classification of resources, it can be broadly classified in the following ways. Number 1, on the basis of origin, resources are classified into A. Biotic resources, which are obtained from biosphere and have life. For example, human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. B. Biotic resources, which are composed of non-living things, for example, rocks, minerals. Number 2, on the basis of exhaustibility, resources can be classified into renewable resources and non-renewable resources, which we have already been discussed. Number 3. On the basis of ownership, resources can be classified into A. Individual resources, which are owned privately by individuals. For example, many farmers own land, or urban people own plots, houses, and other properties. B. Community resources, which are accessible to all the members of the community. For example, public parks, picnic spots, ponds, playground, etc. C. National resources, all the resources which belong to the nation or a particular country. For example, minerals, wildlife, forests, water resources, etc. D. International resources, which are regulated by some international organizations. For example, oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize this without the concurrence of international institutions. Number 4. On the basis of the status of development, resource can be classified as potential resources, which are found in a region but have not been utilized. For example, in western part of India, particularly in Rajasthan and Gujarat, have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. B. Developed resources, which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. Resources are the basic needs of all human beings. Resources are vital for human survival as well as for maintaining the quality of life. And also it is believed that resources are free gift of nature. As a result, human beings use them indiscriminately, and these lead to the major problems. Number 1. Depletion of resources. Number 2. Accumulation of resources in few hands leads to the division of society into rich and poor. Indiscriminate exploitation of resources lead to global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution, land degradation, etc. Besides this all, we need to develop our resources for the following reasons. Number 1. As resources are limited. Number 2. As resources are unevenly distributed. Number 3. To prevent wastage of resources. Number 4. As it is the basic needs of all human beings. While talking about resource planning, all three important terms which we cannot able to skip are: Number 1. Sustainable development. Means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generation. Number 2. Rio de Janeiro Art Summit 1992. In June 1992, more than 100 heads of states met in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Art Summit, which was convened for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. Number 3. Agenda 21. It is the declaration signed by world leaders in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development (UNCED), which took place at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It aims at achieving global sustainable development. It is an agenda to combat environmental damage, poverty, and disease through global cooperation on common interest, mutual needs, and shared responsibilities. One major objective of Agenda 21 is that every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. We need to conserve our resources for the following reasons. Number 1. Resources are the main sources of our daily needs. Number 2. Resources are very limited in quantity. Number 3. Some resources are non-renewable in nature, which cannot be replenished. Number 4. As resources are a wide source of energy. Number 5. Resources help our Earth to be a unique planet. And lastly, we will find out what are the various ways by which we can conserve our resources. Number 1. Buy less stuff, that is, use items as long as you can and ask yourself if it really needs to you. Number 2. Reduce excess packaging. For instance, drink tap water instead of water from plastic bottles. Number 3. Recycle materials such as metal cans, old cell phones and plastic bottles. Number 4. Purchased product made from recycled materials. Number 5. Reduce pollutions so that resources are maintained. Number 6. Prevent soil erosion. Number 7. Afforestation to those areas where trees are cut down. Number 8. Drive less and walk more. Number 9. Conserve energy at home. Number 10. Stop misusing everything whenever and wherever possible. Now coming to the end, hope you all like this detailed information of resource and development. Now this video will really going to help all of us to know more about our Earth's resources and its proper development and conservation needs. Thanks for watching Glima Academy, a fusion of tuition. Stay with us. Thank you.